Hey, hi everyone. So welcome to the last video of the first lecture week. And so as discussed in this video, we're going to be talking about how to calculate the split between the variable component and the fixed component of a mixed cost. And without to bore you too much with too much of the notes, basically the method we use to calculate this is the high-low method. And it's based on the mathematical approach, which involves y equals mx plus c. Some of us may forget that from high school, but basically y equals mx plus c is basically the total cost is equal to m, which is your gradient in the old high school. So m times x, so influenced by the number of units, plus c. So this is known as the constant. It's not influenced by the number of units, and this is your m, which is your gradient, and that's your c. So basically it's based on this formula. Alright, and how the high-low method works, effectively it assumes that we have a linear equation, and just this is a linear equation. This formula over here is a linear equation, so because it's linear, we can apply basically this formula. So when you're given a set of data where you have costs and you have volumes, you simply need to take the highest, very important, activity less the lowest activity. So it's the highest activity cost less the lowest activity cost, divided by the highest activity in units less the lowest activity in units. And so basically what that looks like in an example. So in this example, just very quickly, we have the telephone expense bill, which by its nature we expect it to be a mixed cost. In other words, have a variable and a fixed component. So this is for the whole for the whole year of 2002. We have the number of calls, which in this case would be our units. We have the cost, and we have the average cost per call. We actually don't need that column, so you can actually just ignore that column. So I'm going to just delete it for now. All we need is this. So the high-low method works as follows. We have to find the highest activity and the lowest activity. Now the activity in this case is the calls. So if you have a look here, the highest activity is 346 calls, and the lowest activity is I think it's 162 calls. And then the corresponding cost would be the 385 and the 304. And so very quickly, to apply that formula, we take the difference in cost, 385 minus 304, divided by 346 minus 162, which is this formula over here, 385 minus 304 divided by 346 minus 162, and that gives us the gradient if we're talking mathematical terms, but it effectively gives us the variable cost per unit. And now we can apply this formula over here of total costs, right? And basically substitute that 44 cents per unit to get the fixed costs. So this question asks for if 245 calls are expected for January, what is the telephone cost for the month likely to be? Calculate this under the high-low method. So we already know that the variable cost is 44 cents. The next thing we need to know is what is the fixed cost. Now, what needs to happen, we can remember, fixed cost will essentially be total cost minus variable cost, because total cost is variable plus fixed. So fixed cost will essentially be total cost minus variable cost. So you can either use the 385 or the 304. If you use the 385, you will say 385 minus 346, because at 385 the number of calls was 346. At 44 cents, that gives you a fixed cost of 232. Or you can use the 304. At 304 the number of calls was 162 at 44 cents, and that also gives you a fixed cost of 232. So you can see whether you use the 385 or the 304, you're still going to get the 232. You just need to use the correct inputs. Now that we have the variable cost and the fixed cost, we can apply it to the January calls of 245, because now only thing we apply this formula. So remember, we have variable cost of 44 cents The calls will now be the January calls of 245. I think it is. Let's just make sure. Yeah, of 245, and the fixed cost will be the 232, which is what we've calculated. So using this formula is basically used here in this example. So just to show you, as we discussed, the fixed cost is 232. The variable cost is 44 cents, but in January we're making 245 calls. And so once we apply that to the formula, we will see that our cost in January for our telephone bill, we expect it to be 340 cents, 340.56 cents. Alright, I hope that makes sense. Thanks so much. Thanks for this week, and check back next week for a recap on the long questions, which is available in your notes. Thank you.